Have you ever stepped outside on a bright day and noticed the sun feels sharper than it used to? Or maybe you found yourself squinting at your phone more often, even though the font hasn't changed. If you're over 60, these aren't just minor annoyances, they're signals. Signals that your eyes, like the rest of your body, are aging. But here's the remarkable part. They don't have to decline so fast. In fact, a growing body of research shows that certain nutrients, including one tiny, often overlooked seed, can help protect and even restore aspects of visual performance as we age. Now, most people think vision loss is inevitable after a certain age. Cataracts, macular degeneration, night blindness, all just part of getting older, right? But neuroscience and nutritional biochemistry say otherwise. The truth is, many of these changes are accelerated by silent inflammation and oxidative stress in the retina, both of which can be influenced by your daily diet. And here's where it gets interesting. Researchers from Harvard, Tufts, and the NIH have found that one humble seed, when consumed consistently, delivers a concentrated source of antioxidants and fatty acids that directly nourish the eye's photoreceptor cells. We'll explore what that seed is in just a moment. And no, it's not chia or flax. In this episode, we're going to explore how you can protect your eyes naturally, not with pills or surgery, but with daily habits and proven science. We'll break down what actually causes vision to decline after 60. It's not just age. The surprising link between blood sugar and eye health. The exact seed you can start eating daily and why it works. How inflammation affects your retina and how to reverse it. A daily protocol to reduce screen strain and support long-term vision. One overlooked habit that rewires your brain-eye connection for clarity. If you care about staying sharp, visually and mentally, this conversation will give you the tools. And by the end, you'll have a clear, science-backed plan to protect your eyes naturally and feel more empowered in your aging journey. Let's get started. Most people believe that fading vision is just part of getting older. And while it's true that some aspects of our eyesight naturally change with time, what's often overlooked is that the pace of decline is not fixed. It's heavily influenced by lifestyle, especially nutrition and inflammation. Here's what the research shows. The cells in your eyes, especially those in the retina, are some of the most metabolically active in your entire body. That means they use a lot of energy and oxygen. The downside? That high metabolic activity also generates a large amount of oxidative stress, a form of cellular rusting caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. Now, when you're young, your body is great at keeping this oxidative stress in check using antioxidants. But as you move into your 60s and beyond, your natural antioxidant defenses decline. If your diet or habits don't counterbalance that, the retina, especially the macula, becomes vulnerable. In fact, a large study published in Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that people over 60 with lower antioxidant intake had significantly higher risk for age-related macular degeneration, AMD, a leading cause of vision loss in seniors. Other research from the National Eye Institute supports this, showing that oxidative damage plays a central role in deteriorating retinal function. So what exactly is happening? Imagine your retina like a camera sensor. It's responsible for capturing light and converting it into signals your brain understands. But oxidative stress starts to damage the photoreceptor cells, especially rods and cones. And that's when you start noticing symptoms: blurry vision, difficulty seeing in low light, more glare from headlights. And this doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, silently, often without symptoms until the damage is advanced. But the good news is, it's not only detectable early, it's also influenced by your choices today. A simple tool to apply is this. Focus on increasing your intake of antioxidants that target the retina. These include lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin E, and polyphenol, all of which act like internal bodyguards, absorbing excess light energy and neutralizing free radicals in the eye. Here's where the seed comes in. There's one seed in particular, we'll get to it shortly, that contains naturally high levels of lutein and zeaxanthin, along with essential fatty acids that help these antioxidants actually reach your eye tissue. Because here's the kicker. It's not just about what you eat. It's whether your body can absorb and utilize it. Another behavioral tool? Minimize prolonged exposure to blue light, especially from screens at night. Blue light increases retinal oxidative stress, particularly when it's absorbed without the protective pigments that lutein and zeaxanthin provide. If you're going to use screens after sunset, consider enabling night shift mode or using blue blocking glasses. That one adjustment alone can cut down retinal stress significantly. Let's pause for a second. Have you noticed how your eyes feel more tired now than they did in your 40s? That's not just aging, it's feedback. Your body is telling you it needs support. And when you understand the mechanisms behind that fatigue, like oxidative stress, you gain back control. So here's the big idea. Vision decline isn't inevitable. It's optional, to a surprising degree. By reducing oxidative load and nourishing the retina, you can slow, and even in some cases reverse, the trajectory. Now, we'll explore why this matters even more than you might think, because the health of your eyes is deeply tied to your brain's performance and emotional well-being. Most people think of the eyes as separate from the brain, two organs doing different jobs. But in reality, your retina is brain tissue. It's the only part of your central nervous system that's exposed to the outside world. Think about that for a second. When light enters your eyes, it doesn't just help you see. It directly stimulates neural circuits that regulate memory, attention, mood, and even hormone production. Your eyes are not just windows to your soul, they're gateways to your brain. Here's what the research shows. Studies from the University of California and the Max Planck Institute have found that age-related vision loss is directly associated with declines in processing speed, spatial awareness, and executive function, the very tools we rely on to stay sharp and independent. In other words, when vision goes down, cognition follows. And here's why. Your brain devotes nearly half of its cortex to processing visual input. That's more than touch, hearing, taste, and smell combined. So when visual information becomes distorted from retinal damage, low contrast sensitivity, or glare sensitivity, your brain has to work harder to compensate. That chronic strain doesn't just make you tired. It can affect how well you remember names, navigate spaces, or stay mentally organized. But there's more. Visual clarity is tied to emotional regulation. One fascinating study published in Nature Human Behavior found that people with better visual acuity had lower rates of depression and anxiety, likely due to the smoother brain feedback loop between vision and limbic system regulus. And it makes sense. If you can't see well, your confidence drops. You move less. You engage less. Social withdrawal becomes more common. This creates a ripple effect that can lead to loneliness, reduced neuroplasticity, and even increased risk for dementia. But here's the empowering insight. By improving your vision, you're not just supporting your eyes, you're enhancing your entire brain. Every nutrient, every habit that protects your retina is also protecting your clarity, memory, mood, and mental resilience. So what can you do? One tool you can start using today is what neuroscientists call visual enrichment. It's the practice of feeding your brain high-quality visual input, natural light, depth perception, subtle color variation, especially early in the day. For example, spend 5 to 10 minutes in natural sunlight within the first hour of waking. This not only enhances retinal function, it also anchors your circadian rhythm and boosts dopamine production. Avoid excessive exposure to flat, artificial lighting for long periods. Your brain thrives on dynamic, three-dimensional input. And here's where that seed comes into the story again. The nutrients it contains, especially lutein, have been shown in double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, including one published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, to improve cognitive performance in older adults by boosting visual processing efficiency. One study even found that after just 4 months of supplementing with lutein and zeaxanthin, seniors showed measurable improvements in executive function and mental flexibility, meaning they could adapt faster, think clearer, and stay more focused. So if this insight is helping you rethink how important your vision really is, not just for seeing, but for thinking, feeling, and living fully, consider subscribing to this channel. We dive deep into practical, science-backed tools like this every week, and I'd love to keep learning and growing with you. Now, we'll finally reveal the seed and explore the powerful way it protects your eyes and your mind at the same time. So, what is the seed that can shield your eyes and sharpen your mind, naturally, safely, and without the side effects of synthetic supplements? Pumpkin seeds. That's right. The humble, often overlooked pumpkin seed, also known as pepitas, is one of the most potent natural sources of nutrients specifically tied to visual and cognitive health in adults over 60. Here's why it matters. Pumpkin seeds are rich in zinc, vitamin E, lutein, zeaxanthin, omega-3 fatty acids, and a special compound called tryptophan, all of which play a direct role in supporting the retina, especially the macula, which is responsible for sharp central vision. Let's break that down. Zinc is essential for transporting vitamin A from the liver to the retina, the exact nutrient your photoreceptors need to function properly. Deficiency in zinc is a known risk factor for night blindness and macular degeneration. One study from the archives of ophthalmology found that seniors who supplemented with zinc had a 25% lower risk of advanced age-related macular degeneration. Lutein and zeaxanthin are carotenoids, plant pigments that accumulate in the eye and act like a natural pair of sunglasses, filtering harmful blue light and neutralizing free radicals. Pumpkin seeds are one of the only widely available seeds that contain both, especially when raw or lightly roasted. Vitamin E, found in high amounts in pumpkin seeds, works as a powerful antioxidant. It stabilizes cell membranes in the eye and brain, reducing oxidative stress that accelerates tissue damage. A large-scale meta-analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adequate intake of vitamin E was linked to a significantly reduced risk of cataracts. Omega-3s in pumpkin seeds, particularly ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, support the structure of photoreceptor cells and enhance communication between the retina and brain. While fish is the most concentrated source, pumpkin seeds are an excellent plant-based alternative, especially for seniors on low-meat or vegetarian diets. And finally, tryptophan, an amino acid precursor to serotonin and melatonin, helps regulate sleep and mood, both of which are indirectly tied to eye health. Poor sleep impairs glymphatic drainage in the eye and brain, reducing your ability to clear out metabolic waste overnight. So how should you use them? A simple tool to apply is this. Eat 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw or dry roasted pumpkin seeds daily. You can sprinkle them over oatmeal, add them to a smoothie, or simply snack on them mid-afternoon. For optimal absorption of lutein and vitamin E, combine your pumpkin seeds with a healthy fat, like olive oil, avocado, or a small handful of walnuts. These fat-soluble nutrients require dietary fat to be effectively absorbed and delivered to the retina. And consistency matters. In studies, benefits were observed after 6 to 12 weeks of daily intake. That means the real power isn't in a one-time snack, it's in a daily ritual. One small habit that compounds into long-term protection. Let me ask you, when was the last time your doctor told you that you could protect your eyes, not with expensive treatments, but with what's already in your kitchen? You don't need a prescription. You don't need a miracle pill. You need the right inputs, consistently, and with intention. Now, we'll explore something equally important. What you should avoid, especially when it comes to blood sugar spikes. Because even if you're eating the right foods, if your glucose is out of control, your eyes are still under threat. You may not associate blood sugar with your vision, but the truth is, every spike in glucose creates a ripple effect that directly impacts your eyes, especially after 60. Let me explain. Your eyes are filled with tiny, delicate blood vessels, especially in the retina, where oxygen and nutrients are delivered through microscopic capillaries. When your blood sugar rises too high, too often, it damages the lining of these vessels through a process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins and make them stiff, fragile, and inflamed. Over time, this leads to something called microvascular damage, essentially, the breakdown of the tiny blood delivery network that keeps your retina alive. When that supply chain is disrupted, you begin to lose contrast, sharpness, and the ability to see well in dim light. Now here's the important part. This process doesn't just affect people with diabetes. Even seniors with normal blood sugar, but frequent post-meal spikes, are at risk for what researchers now call preclinical retinal dysfunction. You may not even know it's happening until it is. In a study published in Diabetes Care, researchers found that older adults with higher glucose variability, not just high glucose, but fluctuations, had significantly more damage in the retina, even if they weren't diagnosed with diabetes. And another paper from the British Journal of Ophthalmology concluded that blood glucose control is among the most important modifiable factors in preventing age-related vision decline. So what can you do? Here's a simple behavioral protocol, backed by both endocrinology and ophthalmology, to stabilize your blood sugar and protect your vision. Step 1. Walk for 10 to 15 minutes after your largest meal. Even a light-paced walk after lunch or dinner can lower your post-meal glucose spike by up to 30%, according to studies from the American Diabetes Association. Movement helps your muscles pull glucose from the bloodstream without needing insulin, which means less oxidative stress on your eyes. Step 2. Eat fiber and fat before your carbs. This is called the food order effect. When you eat protein, healthy fat, or fiber first, like a small salad with olive oil or a few pumpkin seeds before pasta, it slows down the absorption of sugars from your meal. The result? Lower spikes, fewer crashes, and more stable vision. Step 3. Try a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before bed. This old-school remedy actually has a scientific basis. Studies show that diluted apple cider vinegar in water can modestly improve fasting blood sugar by the next morning, reduce glucose spikes, and improve insulin sensitivity, especially helpful after a carb-heavy dinner. Now you might be thinking, this sounds like blood sugar advice, not eye advice. But here's the truth. Every system is connected. Your blood vessels don't stop at your eyes. Your metabolism doesn't end in your gut. When you manage one, you protect the others, especially the brain and vision systems that are most sensitive to damage. So here's a question worth asking yourself. If one 10-minute walk a day could help preserve your vision, would you take it? If this kind of insight is helping you think differently about your health, consider hitting that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This channel is about more than tips. It's about understanding why things work, so you can make lasting changes that matter. Now, we're going to give you a daily 3-part protocol that combines light, nutrition, and screen habits to build true vision resilience at any age. At this point, we've covered the nutrients your eyes need, how blood sugar affects vision, and the hidden connection between your retina and brain. But now it's time to bring it all together in a daily routine, a behavioral protocol designed to strengthen your vision at every level. Because here's the reality. Most vision problems don't happen in one day, and they don't get fixed in one day either. They result from daily habits, often unnoticed, that either stress or support your visual system. Let's shift those habits in your favor. Here's a 3-part vision protocol based on neuroscience, ophthalmology, and behavioral science, specifically tailored for adults over 60. Step 1. 10 minutes of morning sunlight, within the first hour of waking. This isn't just about getting outside. Exposure to natural light in the morning triggers retinal ganglion cells, a unique type of cell in your eye that sets your circadian rhythm, supports dopamine production, and improves focus throughout the day. Studies from the University of Colorado Boulder found that older adults who spent just 10 minutes in early sunlight had improved sleep quality, better contrast sensitivity, and sharper cognition after 4 weeks. Here's how to apply it. Sit by a window, walk your dog, sip tea on your balcony. Just make sure it's unfiltered sunlight. No sunglasses for the first few minutes. You're charging your eye-brain circuit for the day. Step 2. Practice the 20-20-20 rule for screens. Let's face it, whether it's your phone, tablet, or television, screens are a part of daily life. But they're also a major source of visual strain, especially with aging eyes. Here's what's happening. Prolonged screen use reduces blink rate, dries out the eye's protective tear film, and overstimulates short-distance focus, leading to computer vision syndrome. To combat this, use the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, Look at something 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. This allows the ciliary muscles in your eyes, the ones responsible for lens adjustment, to relax and reset, reducing eye fatigue and strain. Bonus tip: make your text slightly larger and increase screen contrast. Your eyes shouldn't have to work harder than they need to. Step 3. Eat for your eyes, with consistency. We've already talked about pumpkin seeds, but your daily plate should also include other eye-nourishing foods rich in carotenoids, antioxidants, and healthy fats. Here's a sample vision plate for the day. Breakfast: oatmeal topped with pumpkin seeds, blueberries, and a dollop of almond butter. Lunch: spinach salad with olive oil, hard-boiled eggs, and orange bell peppers, all high in lutein and zeaxanthin. Dinner: wild salmon or lentils with steamed broccoli and sweet potatoes. And hydration matters. Your eye is over 90% water, and dehydration can lead to blurry vision and dry eyes. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, more if you're drinking caffeine. What you're doing with this protocol is retraining your environment, giving your body the signals, inputs, and resources it needs to repair and protect the eye-brain system over time. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you gave your eyes the same level of care you give your heart, or your joints, or your weight? Your vision is not a passive sense, it's an active system. And just like your muscles, your eyes respond to how you treat them. Now, we'll take this one step further and explore how neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and grow, can be harnessed to reinforce visual clarity, even after 60. You may have heard that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, rewire, and grow, slows down with age. That's partly true. But here's what most people don't realize. Neuroplasticity never stops. It just requires more intention and stimulus as we get older. And when it comes to vision, that's good news. Because the eye is not just a passive lens. It's part of a living feedback system between your retina and visual cortex in the brain. Here's what the research shows. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that adults over 60 who practiced daily visual tracking exercises showed increased activation in the visual cortex and experienced measurable improvements in reaction time, depth perception, and mental clarity. Why? Because your brain isn't simply reacting to what your eyes see. It's interpreting that input based on years of habits and sensory memory. The good news is, when you change the input and how you use your eyes, you change the brain's processing loop. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Every time you track a moving object, shift your focus from near to far, or explore a visually rich environment, you stimulate the dorsal and ventral streams of visual processing in your brain. These are the circuits responsible for where things are in space, and what they are, both critical for safe navigation, memory, and mood. And here's the problem. Modern life shrinks these circuits. We spend hours looking at flat screens, fixed distances, repetitive environments. That limits stimulation, weakens focus range, and dulls the eye-brain loop. So what can you do? Try this simple visual neuroplasticity routine, just 5 minutes per day. Near, far focus exercise. Hold your thumb at arm's length. Focus on it for 5 seconds. Then shift your gaze to something across the room or out the window. Focus for 5 seconds. Repeat this back and forth for 1 to 2 minutes. Why it works? It retrains your lens and eye muscles to adjust, improving accommodation and preventing focus lock. Smooth pursuit tracking. Take a pen or your finger and move it slowly side to side in front of your eyes, keeping your head still. Try figure eights or circular patterns. Why it works? It strengthens the connection between your eyes and cerebellum, the area involved in coordination and visual prediction. Environmental enrichment. Spend time in visually stimulating natural environments, forests, gardens, parks. The complex patterns, motion, and lighting variations fire up more visual neurons than static indoor scenes. Why it works? It enhances depth perception, contrast sensitivity, and overall visual engagement. Even small changes make a difference. In a 6-week study from the University of California, Seniors who practiced these kinds of eye-brain exercises experienced significantly improved visual speed and attention compared to a control group, even without medication or supplements. Let me say this clearly. Just because you're over 60 doesn't mean your vision has to get worse. With consistent, science-backed practices, you can stimulate growth, preserve function, and even improve clarity, not just optically, but neurologically. Here's the empowering part. Vision isn't something that happens to you. It's something you can participate in. You have more influence than you think. In just a moment, we'll wrap up with the full recap and a challenge to take action today. But first, if this has helped you, consider sharing it with someone you care about. Your support helps grow this community of smart, empowered people taking control of their health one habit at a time. Let's take a moment to reflect. What you've just learned is more than a list of health tips. It's a new lens through which to see aging. One that says decline is not inevitable, and that even after 60, you can actively protect and even rebuild your vision. Let's recap what the science shows and what you now have the power to act on. First, we explored how oxidative stress, not just age, is the real driver of vision decline. The retina, especially the macula, is vulnerable to cellular damage, but this damage can be slowed or reversed with the right nutrients. We uncovered the deeper truth. Your eyes are not separate from your brain. They are brain tissue. Protecting your vision protects your cognition, your mood, and your quality of life. Then, we revealed the humble pumpkin seed, rich in lutein, zeaxanthin, zinc, vitamin E, and plant-based omega-3s. A natural, evidence-backed food that nourishes the retina, supports brain health, and is simple to add to your daily routine. We examined how unstable blood sugar quietly undermines your vision by damaging the tiny blood vessels in your eyes, and how small shifts in walking, food order, and bedtime habits can stabilize glucose and reduce visual stress. We brought those ideas together into a 3-part daily protocol: morning sunlight to reset the brain-eye clock, screen strategies to reduce strain, and a nutrient-rich plate to protect your eyes from the inside out. And finally, we explored neuroplasticity after 60, the fact that your brain and visual system are still trainable. That by practicing focused visual habits and giving your brain the stimulation it craves, you can keep your clarity and depth of perception sharp for years to come. Now, here's your challenge. Pick one tool from today's video, just one, and use it daily for the next 7 days. Whether it's adding a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds to your breakfast, taking a morning walk without sunglasses, or practicing the near-far focus drill for 5 minutes a day, commit to it. Because what you do consistently shapes what your brain and body become. Aging doesn't mean giving up control. It means learning how to work with your biology instead of against it. And here's the bigger picture. When you protect your vision, you're not just making things look sharper. You're reinforcing confidence, safety, independence, and vitality. You're staying connected to people, to places, to possibility. So don't wait for a diagnosis. Don't wait until it's hard to drive at night, or read the fine print, or recognize faces in a crowd. Start now, with something simple, daily, and proven. And if this message resonated with you, here's how you can help grow this community. Tap the like button. It tells YouTube this content matters. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're building something meaningful here. And leave a comment. What's one habit you're going to implement this week? Because this channel isn't about hacks. It's about science-backed transformation. And you're part of it. Here's to clearer vision in your eyes, your mind, and your life.